You are now watching Lesage, the best place to learn about competitive Pokemon TCG. Let's get it! Yo, what's poppin' peeps? Welcome back to the channel. Lesage here. Today we're going to be going over Suicune Path to the Peak. This deck's been tearing it up a little bit here and there. Not necessarily being the highest placing deck, but it's definitely been making a few top cuts. And in my efforts to really search through what's going on with the metagame, I do try to provide the best information possible. It's been a little bit dry for content lately as a content creator. I want to be completely honest. Our metagame's been solved pretty quickly. I've covered pretty much every single deck, so it has been hard for me to come up with videos. So that's why I'm really digging to find some other decks here to point out there. That being said, I do think this deck can be quite effective in the right metagame, although it might be struggling against other decks at some point. So keep that in mind. Like any other deck, it can struggle. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and let's jump into the deck profile. So here we have it with the deck profile of Suicune V with Path to the Peak. Now this is some kind of hybrid deck that I can only believe that the source came from Tate Whitesell. They've been playing this deck for a while now, and it's really one of those things where sometimes it's hard to come up with an origin of a deck, is all I'm trying to say. That being said, Suicune V has been a popularized card or popularized archetype with Suicune Ludicolo. We've seen this card see play in Ice Rider builds, and then it's kind of fallen off a bit of the metagame. So what the idea behind this deck is to be Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX, a successful deck, and then with that success, you are now, instead of being a VMAX Pokemon that you have to evolve into and extra energy, all this kind of, you end up being a basic Pokemon, less HP, but maybe you can get to those attacks a little bit speedier or need a little bit less, and you get the extra room to play cards such as Fan of Waves and Crushing Hammers, which are quite good against Mew VMAX and other popular decks. This deck uses a Shady Dealings, Drizzile, quick shooting Inteleon line to really make sure of that extra damage, searching things out appropriately. We have Path to the Peak to slow our opponent down, and we have Cape of Toughness to just have extra HP against the metagame. Overall, I think this deck is pretty cool. I've had my doubts about it because I think there are quite a few decks that can take advantage of this deck or aren't necessarily as hard hit by Path as others, but it has been seeing a lot of success, so I will be covering it. Big things that you got to watch out for when you're playing this game are opportunities to Path to the Peak your opponent, so especially against Mew decks, finding that right moment to do so. Crushing Hammer, Fan of Waves turns, if you could take away their energies, mixing that with a Marnie, and then of course, just really attacking your opponent's Pokemon and not forgetting fleet-footed, because drawing a card, there's so many times that I hear I was just one card short, so we're gonna have to see how that ends up playing out. That being said, I'm hyped to see exactly what's going on with this deck, so let's jump into some gameplay. So jumping right into this game, we're starting off with a Sobble. Not really the greatest start, because we're starting with a lone Sobble, and we don't really have anything that allows us to get another Sobble out. We are going first, and we do have those capture energies, so really like not what we're looking for. So here, I think we're forced into going capture energy for another Sobble. We do want to look through our deck to make sure that like we have some other things. Like you'd see, we have our full amount of Sobbles, full amount of Suicunes, full amount of Drizziles, because we do have one of those in our hands. But we do have some Inteleon things, prize, Crushing Hammer prize, like things that aren't necessarily going to matter, but depending on the matchup, having a Path prize or having anything particularly prized could matter in the matchup. So we're going to go for a Sobble, and this is what this deck does best. If you go first, stick a Path on your opponent, they might not have anything. We can't use any of our attacks, so there's no point for us to retreat. So we are going to pass our turn. With them playing a Rangaroo, it looks like they're playing Turbo ZACIAN, and if they don't have a Crystal Cave down, they are doing nothing this turn. And this is really where we can kind of throw our opponent off. They might just be stuck with the Primate Wisdom. Now, word to the wise, I know this is a Suicune video, but if you are playing some kind of Turbo ZACIAN deck, you only really want to put down one Guru. And fingers crossed that they do not find a way out of this Path to the Peak. There's their Air Balloon. So far, no Crystal Cave. They might get it off the extra card. I mean, they've done a lot of digging. But if they had it, they'd likely play it by now. So this is going to shut off their Intrepid Sword and give us a chance to just get set up. So instead of them ripping energies ASAP, we're just able to get set up. And now that we know that they don't have a Crystal Cave, we don't really want to play with their hand too much. So, you want to know what? I think we're in an okay spot. We're not necessarily going to be able to attack for a whole bunch this turn. So that being said, maybe we don't want to go too far about it. Let's go for Drizzile here. We could search our deck for, let's say, a Quick Ball. I think that's definitely something that we want to be doing. So let's go Quick Ball here. Quick Ball away the... Well, Quick Ball away the bosses, or actually, let's take away the capture energy. We do want to grab a Suicune. We are shutting off our own Fleet-Footed. So this deck is very similar to an Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX deck, except we are rolling with Suicune. It's a basic Pokemon, less HP, slightly less damage, but you're not discarding energies, and you are able to get things out quicker, kind of. This is one of those games where you're not necessarily getting out everything quicker, but it doesn't matter because we stuck our opponent with Path. So yeah, we have the Suicune there, and I think this is a great turn to go Call for Family. We're not attacking anyways. I mean, there is not really a world where we can attack, let's be real. So let's go Keep Calling, and we're going to go Sobble. The only way that I was thinking if we could go Melanie, but the issue is if we go Evolution Incense on this one, instead of using the Keep Calling, of course, we wouldn't have necessarily been able to have a Water Energy in our discard pile, which means we have to grab Capacious Bucket. Like, we just didn't have everything. We had missing pieces. So now we have a full board established. We do have access to Boss's Orders. We do have access to a lot of things, and the Scoop Up Net can double up as an extra something, right? So we have ways to start going after our opponent's Pokemon, and they might not have anything going on here as well. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. Path of the Peak decks are quite annoying, but it is one of those things where, like, that's how the game's gonna go. We've been in a Mew VMAX dominated format, and here you can see we're almost better than we were before. So if they're just trying to go for some kind of put something on top of their deck, that's fine. We have the Cape of Toughness. We're absolutely chilling. They likely do play 2 copies of Tool Scrapper in this deck. I know that Josh Sutherland plays 2, and most players base their deck off of his version right now. But we're chilling. I don't know why they do that one either. I guess they're expecting us to attack. But that's fine too. We do have, you can see that we have the Level Ball. So we're going to go Level Ball here first. Level Ball for a Drizzile, that is. And let's keep our options open with the active. I think that seems like a fair point. So let's go for Drizzile here. And I know Capacious Bucket is really the first card that I'm looking for. So let's go for Capacious Bucket. And see, this is a card. Okay, I was going to say, this is a card that we want to say that is prized. I'm like, I don't remember seeing it prized, but there you go. Sometimes things can be deceiving. Double check your deck, peeps. I get quite often lost playing in between games. We could go for a Boss's Orders here and start attacking into the ZACIAN. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be super effective, because it doesn't look like they have so much stuff going on. However, I don't really want to attack into their Guru right now. So yeah, you want to, let's go for the Boss's Orders, because we still have that Marnie for next turn. When it comes to making plays with Drizziles, don't leave yourself stranded is the best way that I like to put it. Let's go ahead, Drizzile here. And we're going to go Boss's Orders. And against other matchups, we could maybe play Research here if they had a more important Pokemon in the active spot. Like, we're not knocking them out, but we have to 2-shot them anyways. Make sure you're slapping that Cape on, though, because they will be able to go 230. 230 would override the 210. So now that we're at 260, we're chilling. They likely don't have Tool Scrapper, Stadium, Energy. It's really, okay, cool. Our opponent's just awesome. No shots at all. It's just one of those things where you're like, awesome. I love to see my opponent have exactly the cards that I said they likely don't have. And maybe that's what they were chilling on top of their deck with Rotom Phone, like, right? When you're digging through a deck like this, you very well could find it. They're likely going to find access to a Stadium. So yeah, we're probably in a little bit of a pickle here. And that's totally cool. One thing that they should have done is switched into their Guru in case they missed, so they wouldn't have to retreat, but that's really where you're getting to more of those advanced plays. For us, we're just more or less like chilling here, because we don't really have too much else that we could offer. So the fact that we went out to try to attack the ZACIAN first, and now we can't play Marnie and then play Melanie afterwards, is going to be a little bit of a difficult one for us. Considering we have so many Pokemon prized, I am just going to start off with the Drizzile here. Because if we just send up the Suicune, we're probably going to be in a hot mess. And of course, we had to draw the Evolution Incense. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you want to know what? Let's go Evolution Incense. How many outs do we have in the deck? Let's go Evolution Incense into the Drizzile. Let's try to get the Suicune all powered up. I mean, this might be the bad play. And this is one of those things that I feel about this deck. Like, if your opponent's able to get around Path, this deck is just a Suicune deck that does not play things. So we will be able to follow up with the knockout. That is something that is extremely cool. So that works out for me. I mean, they could follow up with Raihan, Attach Energy, Metal Saucer, and we might get absolutely destroyed. But that's this matchup. And we also have access to Fleet-Footed too, so maybe we should have thought about that first. The Crushing Hammer, obviously, if we're getting the knockout, we don't want to be playing it. But we can go Blizzard Rondo. This would be a great turn if we had Path, just to get rid of their Crystal Cave, but it probably doesn't matter as much. And the reason why I'm saying it probably doesn't matter as much is because our opponent's likely not going to use Intrepid Sword. They're only going to use Intrepid Sword if they miss. So there's their energy. We're really hoping that they only play one Raihan or anything else like that. Maybe they're putting a card on top of their deck because they're pitching their hand with Research. Oh, and they're just going Marnie, so we might be a little bit in the clear here. The fact that we still got some Inteleon's Prize does make it a little bit more of a difficult matchup for us, but that's okay. We're still chilling. This does give us a little bit of time. And they are just going to go for the Intrepid Sword. Okay. So they're fully powered up. We do need a Cape of Toughness at some point. So let's go ahead and if they knock this out, then that's fine. So let's go ahead and attach this here. When it comes to Level Ball, I am going to go Level Ball here, and we do have another Cape. We do have another Cape. Yeah, so we're going to put Cape on this one so this one can survive. I think that sounds like the total play here. Because we want to have as many, we want to have our Suicunes living as long and healthy as possible. Our opponent, we can Marnie them pretty easily, so let's go Marnie, lower their hand size. Whenever you could think of a disruption play, definitely go for a disruption play if you have the opportunity to do so. That's something that's really going to work out. We're also going to go Fleet-Footed here after our Marnie so we could draw more cards. The Fan of Waves typically are pretty good. This is one of those matchups where it's not going to be as good. I'm going to go for the Crushing Hammer just because I think it sounds like a great way to put things up there. And I am going to Scoop Up Net one of these Drizziles, so we do have options for next turn. Usually Scoop Up Nets are used as a mobility way to get around things. Right now we don't have much going on, so let's go ahead and Blizzard Rondo. So if our opponent brings up a Drizzile, we could always retreat it. They might try to knock it out or something. The Inteleon does work nice off the prize cards as well. So fingers crossed that our opponent does get locked out and we can get an extra turn. But we're really, we're having a struggle. It looks like we need 1, 2, 3 turns, and our opponent, well, I mean, our opponent might need 3 turns as well, with their 3-turn clock starting after ours. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And what I mean by 3 turns is that we have to hit this Guru, we have to hit this ZACIAN, we have to hit this ZACIAN again. So there's our 3 turns. We're going to try to find a way to get around that. When you're trying to find ways to add extra turns in the game, sometimes using boss's orders, bringing up a Pokemon that might not be able to get out of the active spot could be worthwhile. Maybe hitting your opponent with quick shooting Inteleon could really add up or take away some of those turns. Okay, and our opponent cutting their time really tight here. We're doing, how much are we doing here? We need to get another Pokemon down. I mean, us putting down another one would just be a little bit difficult. We might have to go after the Zamazenta. I think that might just be the better play, to be honest. And at this point, if they knock out this Suicune, we lose the game anyway. So let's build up a Drizzile. I think that sounds like the total play. Not putting that down at all, because the damage does not matter. So let's go like this, because we want to have more damage on our opponent's Pokemon. This could actually be an attacker. Let's go Path to the Peak. And Evolution Incense. The Evolution Incense will grab the Inteleon. So we're going to start pinging our opponent's Pokemon, and I mean, it seems kind of cool. So let's go boss here, because that might give us an opportunity. Let's go Path here. And I mean, we've already played 2 boss, so we might be in a tough position where it's not going to matter anyways. So doing some math, we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 140. 140 times 2 gets the knockout, so you want to what? Let's go quick shooting on this Pokemon. I think that might be a little bit better, especially if they don't get the Crystal Cave. And let's go for Blizzard Rondo. So 140 times 2 does get the knockout on the Zamazenta, and then hopefully we can get enough to knock out this ZACIAN in one hit. Maybe if they bench other Pokemon or stuff like that. There's another issue with this deck, going up against a Turbo ZACIAN deck, is that they do play less basic Pokemon than other decks. So fingers crossed that they don't really have much going on, that they can't get around Path to the Peak, that they can't do a lot of stuff. And I mean, based off how they're playing it, like they have played a lot of their supporter cards. Oh, they did find a way around the Crystal Cave, so that is, with the Crystal Cave, I should say, so that is a little bit annoying for us to deal with. So there's our Intrepid Sword. I mean, we still might be okay-ish. We could bring this to 160, put 20 damage on the active, but that doesn't really necessarily help us either. They could just find a switch. How many Crystal Caves have they played is the question. They've played one Crystal Cave. This is their second Crystal Cave that they've played. So if they end up having a boss, how many bosses have they played? One. That's something that we certainly don't want to be dealing with. So you want to know what? Let's go like this. And let's see what we can do. We can do Path to the Peak. We could really just go Path to the Peak, and we can maybe get the knockout on the active, and try to get a knockout on the benched one. I don't know if we'll get to that point, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, you wanna know what? I might end up just trying to attack like this and trying to make some things happen like that. So this is another strategy that you can do. I think that this Suicune V in the active might be a little bit of a liability. We could hope that our opponent doesn't have boss. I'm gonna hope that they don't have Crystal Cave. So we do 140, 150. So let's put the 20 damage on the active. So we're setting it up to get it knocked out kind of on our own terms. We could get a basic Pokemon down, but we do not want to be doing that. We're gonna put this to 270. Which means that we're one quick shooting away and that we can maybe get the attack off. Like we said, the strategy is trying to buy turns. It's not actually if the deck works out. It's more if we're trying to get it. And again, our opponent's just drawing out of ways for us to maybe have a chance at winning this game. So you can see that we're all out of Path to the Peaks. Our strategy for going these attacks isn't really going to matter too much. We are just going to struggle here a lot. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are out of contention. It just means that we lose the game to a boss's orders. Like, our opponent's having a pop-off turn with that Bird Keeper, and that's completely fine. I'm showing you how this deck can work, and maybe we'll see what our top deck brings us. We still have opportunities here. And you want to know what? I did forget Fleet-Footed. So that's my bad. It is quite an easy ability to forget sometimes with Path to the Peak. I could have done it before playing down my Path to the Peak, so that's my bad. So let's go Fleet-Footed here. Actually, you want to know what? Let's go quick ball this away to thin a card out of the deck. Because if we do get a supporter, we do have a chance, maybe. Let's go ahead and go Fleet-Footed. Let's draw a card, because it's better for us to do that than not. We do got a Crushing Hammer. So we can get the knockout on the Zamazenta. That is something that's interesting at the very least. Let's retreat here. There's no reason for us not to put down this Suicune at this point, because if they bring up this one, we lose the game anyways. Let's go Crushing Hammer on our opponent's Pokemon. We got Tails. We can go Quick Shooting here, and we can actually get the knockout with the Aqua Bullets. So this does put us in a pretty good position where we're still kind of in the game. Like, we drew 2 prize cards there. We have access to Melanie. So maybe if they don't do anything in the active spot and they just go Intrepid Sword, we might have a chance to win the game. I'm fully assuming that our opponent has boss's orders and that they will win the game. But if they don't, they don't. And there's just a Bird Keeper, right? Like, we're not that far off from kind of taking this game. Like, I mean, I think we're in a really bad spot at this point. But you want to know what? It is one of those things where we have tried all of our outs, and that's completely fine. So if there's any word to the wise, watch out for Fleet-Footed. watch for opportunities where you could path your opponent. Sometimes your opponent will come out of path like this game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this deck is ineffective or anything else like that. I think we have to go... It doesn't matter if we go fleet-footed first or not here, because we literally only have the one left into our deck. Our opponents would be able to attack us there, so we need to draw more cards. So let's go ahead and just go Melanie here. We need to try to get a couple Crushing Hammers. We did miss. So let's go Crushing Hammer. Maybe they don't have the energy. We are going to quick shooting their active. I mean, I guess we could have quick shooted the bench because it doesn't really matter. We're just kind of stuck here. So our opponent could have an energy, a metal saucer. Like, our deck crumbled at the end because we don't have that support. So we're going to give our opponent the well played. They likely have the energy that they're going to attach. And we are just going to get knocked out here. So if you're not able to play with the path, you're going to struggle with the path to the peak. And that's what we got going on for this video today, peeps. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know I didn't necessarily win the game. I know I forgot some fleet-footed. It's one of those things where I'll hear about it in the comments at some point, but it's one of those things where ZACIAN's a tough matchup sometimes. And if they are able to get out of path to the peak and be able to use Intrepid Sword and Tool Scrapper my things away, like, it's not necessarily the greatest matchup, and maybe that's why ZACIAN continues to see success. I'm not a firm believer in ZACIAN, but it does beat a lot of other decks. If you're new to the game, ZACIAN is great. I think the Suicune deck is equally great, maybe a step above ZACIAN in terms of skill cap, because there are a lot of great decisions. So if you are newer to the game, or if you do have someone who's entering into the game, a brother, sister, mother, cousin, neighborhood, whatever, it's one of those things where this is a great deck, the Suicune deck or the ZACIAN deck. So by all means, check out the description for the list. You can copy and paste that right into PTCGO. And let me know what you feel about this deck in the comments. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan, and we'll see how it plays out when it comes to the top 10 weekly decks or top 20 weekly decks. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me. And my goal with this channel is to spread my love of the game and knowledge with our entire Pokemon TCG community. If you haven't already, help signal boost this video to other Pokemon TCG fans by liking it, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we reach our goals really soon. Check out this recommended video, and have yourself a great day. Thanks.